Hi everyone, this is Itza with Itza Thoughts, and today we're going to be learning some basic techniques for mixed media. And I'll just flip through my journal, and these are the different types of backgrounds that I've done on my journals that we're going to be learning today. And I'll try to bring some up close so you guys can see some of the backgrounds. I use different techniques for the backgrounds. I like Mod Podging items to my pages to make the background, stamping. There's so many fun things that you guys can use to create these types of pages. So I'm just going to go real quick through the pages that I've created. And if you guys see any of the pages that you like, that you would like to know a little bit more on how I did the background, we can do that. Or I can just go with what I was planning on doing. So these are some of my pages. And what I've seen is that as I keep going in my art journal, I'm learning a little bit more, not only of myself, but I'm learning a little bit more about my art, and I'm getting to know the different types of mediums and stuff like that there are out there to create these type of pages. Um, and I went into mixed media not really knowing much about it. I didn't even know I was creating mixed media till I saw a few videos on Ustream and YouTube and stuff like that I put a name to what it was I was doing. I started with making jewelry, and that progressed to scrapbooking, and scrapbooking progressed to altering picture frames and wood boxes, and items like that. And now I know that what I was doing all along is mixed media. So these are some of my pages. I'm almost done with my book. I have about 3 more pages to go, and I'm completely done with my journal. Oh, you guys had a commercial. I know, I hate those. I'm just sharing my journal pages with you guys, and if there's any page in particular that you like, that you would like me to show you, I'll be more than happy to show you. Oh, thank you. And I think there's a few tricks to make your pages look like the way mine do. And I'm learning these little tricks and techniques as I go. Yeah, so I'm going to do something very basic, not too difficult, that won't take too long. But some of these pages have taken me quite a few hours to put together. And a lot of it is mostly dry time, basically. Just waiting for stuff to dry so that I can add more stuff. Um, I love, love, love fairies and butterflies, so you will see a lot of fairies, butterflies, and flowers and garden type things like that in my book. Look, I only work on one page, one side of my journal, simply because the pages look like this on the other side, and I don't I don't think these pages can withstand too much. And because I want to tear my journal apart and frame some of these pages, so I've had a few people ask me if they can purchase a page, and I've been considering that. selling some of my pages, putting them in frames and selling some of them. So these are some of my pages. And today I'm going to show you guys how to create backgrounds using tissue paper or designer paper or napkins. Decorative napkins are also a very good medium to use to create backgrounds. And that's what we will be doing today. And I don't think you guys can really see details on this page, but this page has a lot of details. A lot of details in it. And it's, I used fabric on this one, so that takes a little longer to do. Let me just go a little faster here. I don't want to spend too much time on my journals. Thank you. Hi, welcome guys, welcome. I'm glad you guys can make it. And this page here in particular is very basic. I love the way the background came out, that I didn't think it needed to add anything else to it. But normally I would have put like some kind of focal point on the page. And I like the colors. To tell you the truth, I don't know what journal this is. My husband used to be a graffiti artist, and he hasn't done anything like that in such a long time, and this journal was just sitting there, and I came across it, and somehow it just kind of became my my journal. But we're going to be doing some of this today, doing this technique here on focal points. And the background here was mainly molding paste with acrylic paints and some sprays. Very simple, very fast to do. And I just finished this page last night. It took me a few 2 days to complete. Basically, it's dry time. So I had a lot of fun making her, and I'll put up the pictures of this page on YouTube and Facebook in a little bit. Okay, so this is the page I'm going to be working on. I already gessoed my page, and what gesso is, it's like a primer, and it helps your page deal with all that water and paint and sprays that you're putting onto it. And although it still leaks through, as you can see here, it still kind of seeps through, but not as much, and your pages won't rip so easily either. So that's the first step to starting any page. You always want to apply some gesso, and I don't have the name of the gesso, but it's from Liquitex, and we'll be using some Liquitex molding paste like this. This is Liquitex molding paste, and I purchased this tissue paper at the dollar store, and it's really fun to craft with. And I don't know if you guys can see, but it has like a metallic foil to it, and I thought I scored big time with it. So I'm just gonna chop a piece that I'm gonna use. I won't use the whole thing, just use a piece of it. I've had these napkins here for a long time. These are decorative napkins that I'm going to also be using, and they have 2-ply or 3-ply. So I'm just going to remove the one of the plies of sheet here, and it got wet. So it doesn't matter. I think it has another one. So I'm going to use this. I'm not going to use the black part of it. I'm going to use this part of it. That's my napkin. And I have this other napkin here. How did these things get wet? They got wet, so. It's preferably that you rip this apart. I'm not going to use the whole thing. I only need a piece of it. I tried to prepare a little bit before the class. See, just very carefully taking it apart. And don't throw the white parts away. You can always use these to create textures on your pages. I don't believe in throwing things away. We're going to use that, and then I have some stamps, and this is going to be just layers of color and textures and visual effects. So I got a few stamps here that I'm going to play with, and I got some stencils here, and you can see I don't really wash my stencils after I use them. So far, none of these things have anything sticking in the back. What I pulled apart was napkins. These are decorative napkins that you get at party supplies places. But I dropped some water on this, and the cloth that I have here on my desk has a lot of sprays on it, and some of it got onto my napkin. But it's a napkin. This is a decorative napkin that you would use at a party or something. These are napkins. These are very, very economical, and they're very good to have because you can Mod Podge them onto anything, and they give a very beautiful finish. A lot of them are see-through. They become translucent when you add the Mod Podge on them. So I have some stencils. I don't wash my stencils. I wipe them off as best as I can. But I abuse my stencils. It's just me. And here's some more stencils. And I've started using this is a lace, fabric lace, that you can use as a stencil, and I've used it as a stencil on my pages, and it let me show you a page that I used it on. I used it on this page here. You see this effect here? Can you guys see that? I created this by using that piece of lace and spraying it with color sprays. This. So it's the same. They work as stencils. I have others here that I can use. I have some bubble wrap here. Some bubble wrap. You can tell I've used it. And I like to play with watercolors, and I brought my watercolors so that I can show you guys just the different types of watercolors that there are out there. This is the more commonly known type of watercolor. They come in palettes like this, and you just add a little bit of water and you can paint with them, you know. But watercolors also come in the form of pencils. They come in the forms of watercolor pencils. They come in the form of crayons. They come in this form. But the form that I really love playing with, and I color a lot of my images with, is the kind that comes in a tube. And I'll tell you guys why I love them so much. Now, this was my first set of these types of watercolors. I bought this at Michael's for like $5 or something like that. So they're very inexpensive, but I love them. I totally love them. They come like in a paste. It looks like paste. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it looks like paste. And the reason why I love using this is because if it dries and I don't use everything that I put on my palette, I don't have to worry about it, because I just come back with water and it reconstitutes the paste, the dried paste, and you can keep using it. So I really love that about watercolors. And there's also this medium that I really haven't heard anybody talk about, and they're called gouaches. I don't know how to pronounce that. I bought this set of gouaches for $10 at my local art store, and there's these tubes that you can use by themselves as acrylics, or you can dilute with water, so they become watercolors. So these are the different types of watercolors that there are out there, and I strongly recommend you guys, you know, play around with them and see what form you like to use. Sometimes I mix the types of watercolors that I use in one page. Sometimes I just use one type of watercolor. So I also use acrylic paints, and this is Amsterdam brand of acrylic paints, and the colors I'm going to be playing with today are like grays and purples. But there's other kinds of acrylic paints. There's folk art. This was like $1 at Michael's. So I like to experiment with all of them. And I recently purchased the Indian ink. And I like them because I can use them as watercolors as well. They blend well with water. That's how I did the mermaid I showed you guys a little bit ago. And this is my secret weapon, guys. It's from Basics. It's a gloss gel medium, and this thing is awesome. I love it. It's what gives my pages that texture, like these flowers I did here, like these flowers here. Can you guys see the texture? I'm not sure if the camera catches the texture, but there is a lot of texture in these flowers, and a lot of it was because of this, because I just globbed it on there, put a lot of it on it, and let it dry. And it makes your watercolors vibrant. It makes all your colors vibrant. And I love that. I totally love that. Anyhow, back to where I was at. And watercolors also come in gelato form. I have this tape that I bought, and I have drywall tape. So we're going to be playing with some drywall tape, and drywall tape gives texture more than anything. So let's get started. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, it's glossy. I have not seen it in a tube like this. This tube at my errands frame and art supply store. I've only seen it like this in a gloss. You can also use the matte finish also if you prefer the matte, but I've only seen the matte in a tub like this. And this cost $8.99, opposed to this in a tub like this, it can cost you like $23, $24, like that. So I really love this one. I love it, and it protects your pages. It protects them if any water falls on them, or if you don't have to worry about fingerprints or anything like that, because it cleans off. If you get paint on it or something, you can just get a wet rag and it'll take it off. So it seals your pages. So this, I love this. Totally love it. So I'm gonna get started. I'm gonna start cutting some strips of the drywall tape. If I can find the spot where I left off. I can't get it open, so I'll do some tape. Let's see if I have better luck with the tape. Just gonna cut a strip of tape, and previous to the show, I put gesso over my page. We discussed gesso. Just gonna randomly stick the tape. What I have in mind is I have these hearts that I just freehand cut, and I'm just gonna put them on my page like this, and I'm gonna put like a phrase that says keep loving your heart. So that's why I have hearts. And what I did to my hearts is I stamped the swirls on them. I stamped the swirls on them, and I did the same here. It's just a regular stamp with swirls. And I'm going to put some different type of texture on this side. And on this one, I don't know if you guys can see, but I went over it with my hot glue gun. This is my beat up hot glue gun, guys. I've had this glue gun for ages, since I started crafting. So it's beat up, it's burnt, but I love it. Okay, so I just went over the stamped image, which I'll do here. Just stamp your image and go over it with your hot glue gun. like so. And it squeaks, my hot glue gun squeaks. It's about to give out on me, and I'm just gonna be devastated when it does. So I'm doing this right now so that the glue dries. Well, I paint on my page. Okay, so let's see. And that's how I got those that raised effect on my previous pages with the flowers and with the butterflies. This is the first step. Actually, this is like the third step. You cut your image, you stamp whatever you want to raise on your image, you put hot glue on it. And I got some hot glue on my journal, but it's okay. Or maybe you guys can even see that. So it has a lot of hot glue on it, and I'm just going to let it dry, put it aside, and continue with building the background on my page. I'm going to get my brush. Now the reason why I have fabric on my table is because all the sprays and everything that I wipe off on it, it's creating this designer fabric for me that I'm going to make some little pouches out of. So I'm going to get my glue. And add some to my page. Let me get my tissue paper. This is tissue paper. And I'm gonna glue it onto my page like so. Just randomly. Free-handedly, just go with it. Do any of you guys have any questions? But you can do the same thing with your decorative paper or your tissue paper or your napkins or book pages. Just possibilities are endless. You can do the same technique with different types of papers, and you'll get whole new visual effects. You just have to play with it. The reason why I particularly like using tissue paper and napkins is because it's very thin. The layers are very thin. And with paper, sometimes with scrapbook paper or decorative paper, it's thick, and it's a lot difficult to make it look like it's a part of the image, like you do with these types of mediums. I rubbed on this a little too hard. Okay. And this is an old dictionary. book here that I've been taking apart and just ripping up and putting on my pages. I don't even look at the words that I'm putting on here. I'm just to give it a visual effect. Now, when you're collaging stuff onto your pages, it's always better to rip the image, the paper, rather than to cut it with scissors. When you rip stuff, it just kind of makes it easier for the image to bond with your page, so that it looks like it's a part of it. So this one's pretty big. Textured wallpaper. I've never tried wallpaper. We should try it. Might come out good. Possibilities are endless. I tell you, endless, endless. Your imagination is whatever you're capable of imagining. That's, you know, that's gonna be your limit. If you can imagine it, you can do it. Sometimes even if you can't imagine it and you just go for it, you'll surprise yourself. That would be a good idea to try that. I love going to the hardware store like Home Depot and places like that, because you never know what you're going to come out with. You can mix media on anything. On wood, on metal, on paper, on chipboard. Okay, I like that. So now I just have to dry it a little bit. I'm going to use my heat gun here. Yeah, when you use decorative paper or scrapbook paper, it's thick, so it's always better to cover your whole page, your whole surface with it, rather than to just scatter it around like this. That way you can't really tell where one image bonds to the next. And I like to heat set both sides. And don't leave your heat gun in one specific area for too long. You don't want to burn anything. although sometimes it creates bubbles, and that adds, you know, great texture to your page. And in mixed media, there's no such thing as mistakes, ladies. They're creative opportunities. And nobody's gonna know you made a mistake but you. So, hi. Okay, it's dry now. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my stencils out and use some of my molding paste. This is the molding paste I use, Liquitex molding paste. You need a knife, some kind of utensil. Let's see. I have alphabets. I like this one. Put some gears on there. Oh, I didn't use the drywall tape. I wasn't able to find the where the beginning and the end start. But the drywall tape is used to create texture. I've used it in a few of my pages. Let me show you just real quick. See? Can you see that? It gives texture. A lot of texture. Just darn things. Oh, trust me, I create a lot of creative opportunities too. A lot of these things just happen by happy coincidence, not because it's premeditated. I don't plan ahead, too far ahead of what I'm going to do. So sometimes I get inspiration by phrases, like quotes, and the quote brings everything to life. But sometimes it's the images I use. Can't find the beginning and the end of the drywall tape, so I'm just going to make one. When nobody's watching, everything works perfect. When there's people watching, nothing comes together the way you planned it. So this is the drywall tape here. And I like to cut it into different size strips and randomly put it on my page. Put it in different directions. Nothing too specific. Just just going to bring my hearts and just make sure that I'm not going to cover too much of this. Yeah. It looks messy now. It's not looking good just now, but it'll come together. And got these gears I want to use here. So you just get your molding paste with your knife and you go over your stencil with it like so. Just randomly put it on your pages. And I'm not making the layer too thick. I have this one. And I'll show you guys in a bit. Let me just add my molding paste to my stencil. Do any of you have any questions? Oh, I love molding paste. I love it. I think I've used it on just about all of my pages. It adds wonderful texture. The problem with molding paste is that after a while it tends to be a little flaky, so I like to cover my whole pages with glue when I'm done, just to secure everything, and just randomly scraping the rest of that molding paste off on my page. I don't want to waste anything. So here is, well, I don't think you guys can even see it. I don't think you guys can even see that. You can't see it, but it'll come out once you add color to it. Just drying it for a few seconds here. You guys are coming back from your commercial. I'm still drying. Okay, should be dry enough to play with. Yeah. Okay, so then I think my background's gonna be gray. So I'll add the paint first. Now there is no specific way that I really apply my paint. I just go for it. Just put some paint on my brush, just a little bit. And don't pound on it very hard. Just lightly start brushing it onto your surface. I'm going to thin it out a little bit. This is just water. Putting water on it to thin it out. I know it's scary, guys. But the more you play with it, you will get a hang of it and have no problem going for it. Now I'm going to consider every color a layer. So you're going to be adding tons and tons of layers to your page. Tons and tons of layers. And I want it to be light gray and dark gray. I've been doing mixed media for about 4 years now, I think, 4 years. But I originally started with jewelry, and I've been at it for the whole crafting thing. I've been at it for about, geez, for about 10 years now. Since I was in my early 20s, I started with crafting. I think it's in my blood. My mother makes, you know, wedding dresses and stuff like that. My grandfather used to make shoes. So I think it's in my genes. You can see some of the images starting to pop out. Some of the images I added with molding paste. So this is my second layer because this is my second color that I am adding to my page here. And I think now if you want the colors to easily blend together, then it's recommended to work fast. Put your colors on fast so that they're still wet enough to blend. And I think I'm going to add a touch, just a little touch of yellow. Here and there, just randomly, maybe only on the places where I put the drywall tape on. Now, different acrylic paints have different textures. They feel very different, and they're going to go on your page different. Some colors are more translucent than others, and then you have some that are really heavy and rich bodied, and there's some that are like watery type of thing, and I like playing with all of them. The Amsterdam acrylic paint is very rich and creamy, and the folk art paint that I'm using, it's really thick paint, but I love this color, so I'm almost out of it. I use it a lot, and I'm just adding a little bit of yellow just to give it, you know, some pop of color. It's not all going to be gray. There's going to be a lot of color in this. And this is my third layer, my third color. So that's my third layer. We're going to dry this now. So you can start seeing how this is coming together. How the page looks like it was just printed like this, you know, with this image. Let me see if I can brighten it for you guys just a little bit. You can see the colors, the textures. You can see the drywall tape there. Some of the stencil work. You can still see the images that I glued on there before. Can you guys see that? You can still see the napkins I glued on there. I'm going to add a drop of India ink in cherry red. I think you guys can see it. Just a little smidge here in the corner. A few drops. I'm going to get my water and I'm going to spray some on there so that the color travels in and around my page. Just keep adding water and the ink will keep flowing through your page. Just trying to redirect it. The more water you add, the more translucent the color becomes. The less water, the more dark it becomes. Okay, I like the way this looks, so I'm just going to dry it. This is my fourth layer of color. This is why gesso at the beginning is very important, to keep your pages from ripping, or from the paint, from just the paper just soaking up everything. I'm just going to dab some of it off just so it can dry a little faster. You give it that wash effect, and you can see some of the drip runs. Oh, I'm very messy. I'm very messy when I craft. Don't want to get me started. I'm very messy. I don't clean up till I'm totally done. Let's make sure it's dry. Then I'm going to get my stencils out again. I think I use my alphabet, my alpha stencil. And I have some Lindy sprays here that I'm going to play with. I'm going to use some white. This color is Frozen Jack Frost. I don't think you guys can see it. It's from Lindy Stamcan. Now I'm just going to take my stencil and flip it over onto the next page. And I have this one here, this stencil here. I'm going to come with, again, another Lindy spray. And this is a sweet violet purple teal. There we go. So this purple teal is my 6th layer of color. You see all that yumminess on there? It's not going to waste. It's going on this page. When I'm drying, I just pinch one corner and keep it pulled back. It flattens out when you close the journal. And I like to dry them on both sides. Yes, I just sew front and back of my page, yes. Okay, I think the background is pretty much set. I won't add anything else to it till the hearts are added onto the page. So I'll work on the hearts now. These are my hearts. I cut 2 of them out. I stamped a swirl image on them, and I traced the image with my hot glue gun. And I'm going to add some more texture to it by using my stencil on this one with some modeling paste. Got my modeling paste. And these stencils here, I purchased really cheap from a lady called Saw Crafters. I found her on YouTube, and she does some pretty good tutorials. And she has a store where she sells these stencils very cheap, for like $2, $3, like that. And that's why I don't really doesn't really bother me that my stencils are dirty or whatever, because they weren't that expensive. I'm going to mix my stencil work here. Put some dots on this too. Add some on here into the center here. Okay, so let me try this. Then I'm going to bring my watercolors out. And don't worry if you have strings, those hot glue strings, they kind of curl up and melt when you put your heat gun over it. This is regular white printing everyday paper, not any specific type of paper. Sure. I'll put a link up for her. You can also find her on YouTube. Her name is SA Crafters. You can find her on YouTube. But I'll look for her link and I'll give it to you guys once the class is done. Okay, so this is fairly dry. It's not 100% dry, but I can play with it. The hot glue kind of got sticky again, so it'll cool off right now in a little bit. And I'm gonna use my my gouch paints. I love them and I can't pronounce it. Can't pronounce their name. But there are these little lovely sets of colors here. And this is, you know, those plastics that come in your scrapbook packaging or in packaging. I'm going to use it as a palette. And let me see, my heart. My page is charcoal with white and pink and yellow. And I think I'm going to make it a bright pink. Bright pink. So again, they're gauchos. I don't know if you guys can. You guys want to look that up. I'm going to add some pink. And a little bit goes a long way. A little bit goes a long, long way because these colors are creamy and they're vibrant. They're really rich colors, really pretty colors. And I will use my water brush. This is the water brush that I use. It's a round number 10 water brush. These were actually very inexpensive. They were $10. Um, at my craft store, they were $10. And my water, I'm gonna get my water and spray my image with some water. Put some water on my palette. Now, this is an old empty bottle that I just put water in, so that's why there's some color on it. Just let me show you guys. Just get a little bit of water, and there you go. It dilutes it. Just very lightly, randomly start painting it onto your image. The more water, the lighter. Always remember that. The less water, the darker the color is. And I want a blend of both, dark and light. And I'm going to add some white to it also to make it even lighter shade of pink. Put some red. You can even use your Lindy sprays to color your image. I'm going to spray some on here. I think I want to add a dark color. This is Danny Russo's Denim. I like that. I like the way that looks. So here's my heart. It's coming along. I'm going to let that dry a little bit. It's still wet. I'm going to work on the other heart. So let's bring back the journal page where it's going to be on. And have a look so we can see how it's coming along. Okay. It's getting there. We're getting there. I think I'm going to add some yellow to this. And I'm not worried if this gets dry because all I need to do is add water and it reconstitutes the watercolor. Have some yellow. I have some gray over here. I have a clean cup of water here on the side. Now the gouache and watercolors, when they get dry, they tend to look a little chalky, you know. So that's why I use the glue on the top also, so that it gives it a nice glossy finish. And you can't tell whether I used oil pastels or acrylic paint. You can't tell. That's what I love about it. Make sure you get the little nooks and crannies. Yeah, the fabric is coming out very good. I can't wait till it's all fully covered in color so that I can cut into it and make some little pouches. Um, I like giving some jewelry away and stuff like that, so I I like to give it a nice presentation. So I like making these little pouches to put the jewelry in when I give it away as gifts to friends and stuff like that. Just blending in the colors. Thanks for stopping by, guys. This is recording and probably going to be on here for another hour or so. I'm going to try to finish this journal page with you guys. Probably have to do a short break in a little bit and come back to it so we can finish it. Hopefully I get to finish it and you guys get to see what it looks like finished. This is more of an industrial, rustic look that I'm giving my page here. Really like that blue on here. Just trying to add some more yellow on here. Let me go wash my hands really quick. I have glue on them. Sorry about that. Okay, so this is about, I'm about done coloring the hearts. Very easy, basic, simple techniques. And I hope you guys come up with some really great projects. Okay, I'm done coloring. Line up a little bit. I'm going to bring my glue again, and I'm going to glue my hearts to my page. Being generous with my glue. Put a little bit of glue on the back of the heart. I think I want it there. Press it down. Put a little bit of glue on the back of the other one. You glue it down. Now, you come back with some more glue, and don't brush it on. Dab it on, like so. You dab it on. This way you don't smear all the colors together into one big blob. You're giving also texture to your page. And I guarantee you when it's dry, it's going to look fabulous. The colors are going to look bright. And the glue is going to give it texture. I'm going to do the same to this one. Pounce it on. Don't brush it on. I'm running very low on it, so I hope I have enough to cover my whole page. Very gently strokes. Pounce it on, because although some of this is acrylic paint, I sprayed Lindy Stamp Gang on it, and Lindy Stamp Gang will smear if you brush too hard. So to avoid from smearing, I'm just going to pounce it on the whole thing. Now I didn't glue my hearts totally flat down onto my page because I wanted to give some like a raise effect. So I didn't glue it straight down onto my page. Pounce and pounce and pounce, and it's going to take a few minutes with the heat gun to dry. So by putting the glue on, you're securing and locking in your background so that it doesn't smudge, or if it gets wet, it doesn't mess up. So, you know, it's a protective shield that you're putting onto your project. And it's going to make the colors look very vibrant, very bright. So this is what it looks like. It doesn't look like much. It's still not finished, but I just added the glue, and I'm gonna heat set the glue now. Do you guys have any questions? Yes, I leave it like that. I on purposely I didn't put glue on the whole, on all of the edges. It gives it like a raised effect, like it's popping out of your page. I did that with the butterflies. The butterflies aren't completely adhered to the page. They're the same way as the hearts. And I'll show you guys once I'm done drying this. I'll show you the butterflies again. The camera, I don't think it's capturing the vibrant colors popping out of the heart. It's not. It's not capturing it. They're very vibrant. maybe on my next class I can show you guys how to add characters to your pages, like a fairy or a mermaid. It's getting there. Takes a few minutes. And if you guys want, I'll email you guys the image I'm gonna use next time. That way, we can all do it together. It's almost there. It's almost dry. Let me show you guys the butterflies. You see the butterflies? The wings aren't fully stuck on here. So it gives it a dimensional, 3D effect. And this is the mermaid. This is the mermaid. Yeah, usually all my images, I like to create the background first, and then I add my images as I go along. I don't draw the images or put the images first, or because I like designing the background freely, and then I can always adjust the image to fit the background just the way I want it. If I draw it on directly onto the page first, that's it. I can't move it. After I started adding paint and stuff like that, it's just a hassle. It's a headache to come back and try to change it once you've added paint to your page. So I normally do the backgrounds first, and then I add my images to my pages later on. And as I'm going along, I blend in all the images. It's very easy to blend it in. You just I'll show you guys once this is fully dry how to blend in your images to your pages. I think it needs like some doodling or something, maybe some bling, I don't know. Yeah, the mermaid I drew on a white piece of cardstock paper, and once I did the background, I colored her in, cut her out, and put her onto the image. I had help from my husband drawing my images. He helps me a lot. I'm fairly new to drawing my images. He helps me because he, like I said, he used to be a graffiti artist, and he's a very talented artist. He just very lazy, and it's not his thing anymore. So he doesn't do it that often. But he helps me with some aspects of my images, like with hands or with the face. Sometimes I find it a little hard drawing faces sometimes. Um, but yeah, he helps me. If you guys want any of the images that I've used, you guys could just send me a message with your email address, and I will gladly send you a copy of the image. A lot of times there are also stamped images. For example, I just purchased the Prima stamp, couple of Prima stamps. And I really love the image of the stamp, but it's too small for this journal. The image is a little bit too small for it, and what I do, it's this one. See, I just purchased this one from Prima. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's the one of a fairy, and she's holding a mirror. So what I do is I stamp my image onto a white piece of cardstock, just stamp it on, and then I get that image and I put it onto my computer. Once the image is on my computer, I have the software that lets me make the image big. It makes the image big, and I can reposition the image to face in the direction that I want to make it face. Like this one, she's facing, looking towards the right, but I wanted her to be a little bit bigger, and I wanted her to be facing the opposite direction. So I was able to do that with my stamp. And I love doing that because I don't have to carry around my stamps with me everywhere I go. Um, I can just have it in a little USB, drive, and upload it onto the computer and print it out whenever I want to use it. Um, so that's what I've been doing. That's what I do with my images. Um, a lot of the images that I have on this journal, I've done that too. Like, um, like this one. This is a Stampeduous stamp, and she's not this big. She's like about this big, and I blew her up so that she fits onto my journal page. And I can also shrink her if I wanted to. This is a stamped image. This is a stamped image also that I made big. These are stamped images. I did nothing to them. I just cut them out. She's not a stamp image. She's a stamp image. The flowers are a stamped image. This is a stamp, but I stamped directly onto the page. He's a stamp image. She's a stamped image. These flowers are a stamped image. This is a stamped image that I blew up. I drew her. I drew these flowers. I drew the hands. This is all drawings. I've used her in several art projects. So she is a sketch that I put into my computer, and I just size her to whatever size I want. This is a clip art. She's a hand, I drew her in. So there's a lot of different ways for you guys to add images to your pages. The glue is almost dry. Still white in a couple of spots where it's really thick. But I think I can proceed to the next step as long as I'm careful. I want to add some script, or no, not script. I use some stamps. So I'll bring on my stamp. And I'm going to use some Versa fine ink. Plus, if you do the images like that through your computer, you don't have to carry your stamps and your stamping blocks and the ink and all this and all that. It's just too bulky to travel with all that stuff with you. Like, this show is not being taped in my home. This is being taped at my studio, my office studio where I work at. So I had to bring all this stuff with me and make it fit into one little bag. Um, so, I mean, it's great to do it like this. Just randomly putting some stamp images on here just to give it, you know, visual texture. Nothing too fancy, nothing, you know. These are the only stamps I carry with me, the small ones that I can add background texture. Stamps like this, I won't carry with me. Let's just heat set that. Then I'm going to get a thin old brush that I've had for a very long time. And I'm going to bring my gold Rub and Buff and Rubs. My cap broke, so I had to put a little band-aid on it. But I don't want it to get dry, so I have to use it as much as I can. It's just gold Rub and Buff. Add it onto my brush. Now on the images that I put hot glue on, that's the image that I'm going to trace with my brush. Now I'm not being, you know, 110% perfect or accurate or any of that stuff, because that kind of stuff won't go well with the background I'm giving the image. It won't. You guys can see how it's bringing up the hot glue image. And I'll go over it also on some of the images that I put molding paste on, just to raise it up a little bit, very lightly. Blend it in, go around the edges, kind of outline the heart with it. Put it over some of that drywall tape I put there earlier. Go over some of those images I put molding paste over on my page. Kind of smear it in with my finger, with the brush. It brings everything out, pops it out. Can you guys see that? I'll show you a close up in a little bit. Let me just put it on the other heart. Now this one, the glue's not fully dry yet, so I'm not, it won't show up just quite yet. But when I take the still pictures, it'll come out. Yeah, I've been doing this for years, using my images like that. because you know, you spend so much money on the stamps, and then they're only so big. You can only put them on so many surfaces that they're gonna, you know, stand out and look pretty on. That, you know, it I don't know, the idea just came to me just to do that. Okay, now let me show you guys. You see that? Can you guys see that? Is it too shiny, too glossy? Almost done here, ladies. Almost done. The last thing that I'm going to do to this, maybe almost the last thing, is I'm going to come with a fine tip black pen. It can be black or it can be white. I like to mix it up. I like to use, this is the Pentel Sunburst Medium Gel Pen in white. And this is a roller ball 0.7 black pen. And I'm going to outline my heart like so. It doesn't have to be perfect. It depends on what look you're going for. I'm going for the rustic look. So to me, I'm not being very careful with it. Now don't put your hands down because look what happens. Try to keep your hands up from your page and use your pinky to guide your pen. Put some doodles on it. I still have to add my phrase to the page. And this is what brings it all in. This simple thing to do with your pen. It can be any kind of pen, to be quite honest with you guys. When I first started doing this, it was a regular everyday office pen that I started doing this with. So it kind of brings it in. It can be a pen, it can be a marker, whatever you guys have, just use it up. Think of different ways to use your day-to-day stuff that you have at home. You see how it made the heart pop? I think I'm going to use my white pen also. Put some traces of white. And it gives your page like a leathery, rubbery feeling. It feels like leather. It doesn't feel like paper anymore. And by adding the glue on the whole page, you're protecting the surface. I just had my nieces and nephews ranging from 4 all the way to 10 going through all my pages. You know, kids always have stuff in their hands. And they didn't damage anything. They didn't rip anything. They didn't, you know. it withstood the test of children. And I really love that. I can share my book with other people. Just, you know, doodling. I think it'll be a little darker if I use my marker here. Go with it, have fun. Don't try to be perfect. It's not dry yet. And the glue allows you to smear your pen marks before they dry. That gives it a shadow effect. Or you can use your gelatos to do this also. I'll show you guys. Just go over it like this and blend it in. And gelatos are great. You can use them on a wet surface as well as a, you know, dry. They're creamy, so they're easy to smear, smudge. Can you guys see that? I think maybe if I turn off the light, it won't have that that glare. You guys can see it better. Let's see. Whoa. No. Nope. Sorry, ladies. You're gonna have to wait to see the pictures. What do you guys think? Now I'm just gonna add my phrase. My phrase is maybe I can add some flowers to it. This is where all your scrapbooking goodies are going to come into place, ladies. Just try not to make it so dimensional so that it doesn't lay your book close. I'm not sure about the flowers. Maybe some bling. If I add some bling to it. Let's see. I've been adding bling to a lot of my pages. I can't help it. What girl doesn't like the bling? And just like the drywall tape, I cut different strips of it, different size strips, just to add goes well with the drywall tape I put here. What do you guys think? Hmm? Yeah, I like it there. I think I'm going to add it there. For right now, I'm just going to put it on with my hot glue gun. But I'm going to eventually go over it with another layer of glue. Just to make sure it's secure on here. But for right now, just to set it in place, I'm going to do it with hot glue. You can also use the E6000. That works well also, or glossy accents. You can even glue it on with the glue you use to coat your page. You can use that. The only thing is it's going to take a long time to dry, which right now I don't really have much time. I really like the way the bling pops out. I don't know. I've used it in a few pages throughout this book. Now I have my phrase here. You can also add some rub-ons. If you guys have rub-ons, rub-ons are a great element for mixed media. And this is a Making Memories rub-on book. And it has flowers and swirls in black and in white. So I think I'm just going to add a few swirls here and there in color white. Probably put this one down here. And again, on rub-ons, I highly recommend that you definitely put glue over it. Because rub-ons, with all the paint and stuff that you have on your page, it might peel off. So just to keep the rub-on in place, I highly recommend you go over it with glue. There's the rub-on. And they stick anywhere, so rub-ons are awesome. Let's see if I have another swirl here. Ooh, this one's perfect. Now, if your rub-on doesn't come out perfect, that's fine too. It just adds more to the visual effect. So if this doesn't come out 100% perfect, that's fine. I'm fine with it. I missed some spots. Yeah, rub-ons are fabulous to use on mixed media. Fabulous. And like I said, you could, if you do a page that you really like on a journal and you want to frame it, that is awesome. I'm going to do that to some of these pages. I'm going to buy frames for them. Just cut it out here, put it on some black cardstock, and frame it up. I think this page is just about done. I just need the phrase. I just bought this nifty little label maker. It was for about $10 at Target. And it's from that, I really don't know who makes it. Doesn't say here, but it's cool. Let's see. We're gonna put keep love in your it has a little heart. Keep love in your heart. Keep love in your heart. Perfect. Just cut it off. Keep love in your heart. I think it's too small. It's too small. Okay, I have a printout of the phrase here. I think this one is better. I think it'll look better on this one. Need some color. So let's put some color on this. Get my Lindy's. Where are you going? Okay, it's dry. Now I want to get my journal, get it back, trim it out a little bit, trim it out. Trying to just find a place for it. I think it'll look better in here. Okay. I have this Lumiere paint in bright gold. Lumiere. And this particular color, or I don't know if it's all the jars of it or just this particular bottle or this batch or whatnot, but this, when you apply it onto your page, and I'm just going to go over the edge, and you heat set it, it bubbles up nicely, very nicely, almost like if it was embossed. And I discovered this by one of those happy mistakes or opportunities. And I was, wow, this thing bubbles nicely. And I tried it with some of the other colors and it doesn't happen. It just happens with this color. But I'm being very generous, going around the edges, adding some paint. Now I'll show you guys how it bubbles. There's still some on my brush and I don't want to waste it. So I'm just gonna wipe it off on my page here. Just randomly. I tell you guys, I like the way it's looking, so I'm gonna put some more on my paintbrush. And let me show you how it bubbles. And it doesn't matter if it's dry. If it's wet or if it's dry and you go over it with your heat gun, same effect, same thing. Let me dry it first. Let me show you guys. Can you see that? Can you see how it bubbled? Yeah, I love the mirror. I like the ones that have the gold flakes in them, the gold shimmer to the color, especially that peacock color one. I love it. So bring out my glue again. I was gonna hot glue it on there, but no, I changed my mind. Again with my globs of glue. Bring my brush out again. Now get some of this glue and go over the bling like so, just to make sure that it's really sealed into my page. To seal in whatever other my rub-ons, you go over it on your rub-ons to seal them into your page. And put my phrase. Now I can give it, you know, brush it on, because everything else on the bottom of it has been sealed. Nothing's gonna smear anymore. Oh, maybe here. I might be careful here. I didn't seal the black. And gelatos are water-based, so anything wet that touches them will make them smear. So there you go. This page is done. Just have to trace the love like I did with the hearts. But basically, this page is done. We're done. I'll give it a round so you guys can get a good look at it. You see that? How it all came together. And this, my friend, is mixed media, start to finish. Do you have any questions? No? The hearts are still wet, especially this one is still wet. So it probably takes a few hours if I let it dry by itself, which I am, to dry out. But once it's dry, I'll have some pictures of it out tomorrow on Facebook so you guys can see, and on my blog so you guys can see. Yeah, it was all done with hot glue. So pretty sure everybody out there has a hot glue gun, and you guys are going to be tracing everything with hot glue now. Thank you guys for watching and for staying on here with me. It was fun. I really appreciate that. So let me stop the recording.